I don't know what ad blockers to use. I'm kind of nervous about using ad blockers, so we make it so we're probably gonna get ads here and there.
Episode 8 intentionally opens very similarly to Episode 7, with Team RWBY coming through the door.
They're at episode 15 right now, I believe, or 16. So yeah, YouTube's been kind of giving them a pain in the butt time with re-uploads.
To the Huntsman mission control.
I mean uploads.
They look just as miserable this time, trading out burns and soot for garbage and scuff. Weiss leads the group, and RWBY sends a side-eye to all three of her other teammates.
Of course it has. It had happened right now. Oop. Ah. Yeah, come on.
Not so easy picking missions now, is it? Weiss glares at RWBY. That was the first time one of my missions ended that poorly. You can't blame me for an outlier. RWBY waves
yes, we can.
And every mission I've chosen since has...
Oh, I love how dirty they make them see. A banana peel, is that like a skin of a fruit? A leaf? Mustard? Probably mustard.
Gone perfectly.
Weiss taped her outfit.
Why do I get the blame?
Unless it just fell on there and sticked.
Blame for that. Yang rolls her eyes and steps between the two, wedging between them. Ladies, please,
Is that blood, Yang? You okay?
You're both beautiful.
I mean, I know what happened, but
Yang is immediately rebuffed as RWBY and Weiss turn to her and shout in perfect sync. This was your idea to begin with! Yang steps back with her hands up, only just realizing she made herself the target. Blake rests a hand on Yang's shoulder and smiles, playing peacekeeper this time around. How about I choose the next one? Something relaxing after getting ourselves dunked in a dumpster? Twice? Weiss shakes her head in disbelief, muttering despondently, why was there a dumpster in the middle of the tundra? Yang shrugs and the crew begin to move deeper into the room.
because people need to throw away the trash, that's why.
The camera follows them, and as Huntsmen walk past them, we smoothly cut to the four arriving at...
And people don't really care where they put them sometimes.
...at their apartment. Yang, still mid-shrug, suggests, maybe we should just take a day off. Blake frowns and asks, can we just do that? From their open door across the hall, John pokes his head out, calling out to them, that was always an option! Yang, Blake, and RWBY look back at him while Weiss hits the door controls.
I mean, it's not like you guys got ships or anything, so yeah.
Not in a mood to entertain Junior's shenanigans while declaring, the only option I need right now is a shower. Yang piggybacks off what John said and motions to the apartment. I mean, not like we can't afford it. It's not like we've got a lot of expenses. RWBY looks around the room all the same, but it seems only to trouble...
Wait, Yin's gotta pay for showers at the academy?
Her mood sinking...
Or is that like supplies to wash yourself with the soap?
...faster. We can't be ungrateful, Yang. Putting crescent rose on a table, RWBY unzips her cloak. The general has been so accommodating to us, and we... Yang picks up on RWBY's slump, scooching in close and wrapping RWBY in a side hug. Still feeling guilty about all that? The other two, shifting a sense for the serious, drawing closer as RWBY grows more pensive. I feel like we could be doing more. It's almost been a month, and we're just sitting around waiting for Ironwood to get done with Harpoon. Maybe, if he knew more... Weiss crosses her arms.
Tell him.
Don't go double-guessing yourself. This gets a raised eyebrow from Blake. Weren't you the one that wanted to trust Ironwood? And Weiss replies hesitantly, want to and do are two different things. She turns to RWBY, growing pensive herself. Invoking the architect is troubling.
Oh yeah, on Twitter recently, I saw this discussion where people were defending the RWBY girls with the Atlas arc because, you know, they did a part of the fall of Alice was their fault. And like people wanting to defend the girls, saying, "Oh, the teenagers that are 17 or whatever, they don't know any better." Nah, they're almost adults. Then they should have the common sense just to be able to know what they're doing and know what is and isn't stupid. Yeah, like they don't know taking and out stealing another ship isn't robbery or theft. Or, yeah, sure. They don't got the common sense to do that. They're not toddlers or little children.
Even if it's for different reasons, we have more than enough to believe he might not need to know. The only thing I still think we should do is tell him about the lamp. But if Ruby thinks it's best, I'll stand by her. Still conflicted, Ruby at least manages a soft smile Weiss's way. But I'm not your leader anymore, remember? The words are playful, but tinged with a grain of truth. Surprisingly, Blake's hand chops down softly on Ruby's head, causing her to look back up at Blake in confusion. Blake offers a comforting smile in return. That was a joke, and you know it. Ruby smiles back, still conflicted. I guess I just don't like seeing her around like this, knowing she's still out there. For all we know, she's planning something over in Vacuo to get the relic, or doubling back to destroy Vale or something.
Oh, she's right there, haunting us with that ad.
Blake's smile slips just a bit. We can only work with what we know is in front of us. Worrying about things like that, it doesn't lead to good places. Weiss shrugs. For all we know, after her failures at Beacon and Haven, she plans to wait 100 years until we're all old and wrinkled. Or maybe
Oh, I wonder if they had update the security.
she'll cast a magic spell that ends the whole planet without needing to get the relics. Her gaze falls to Ruby, piercing. We can't know what we can't know, Ruby. All we can do is what we can with what we
She cast meteor. Game over, man. Game over.
have. Ruby's face twists pensively before Yang nudges her shoulder with her own. We're playing a literal waiting game to save the world. All we gotta do is kick back, relax, and, well, do our jobs. In a couple of months, poof, no more big bad guy. Ruby sends Yang a skeptical eyebrow. If the laser even works. Yang just ruffles Ruby's hair. Gotta think positive. Ruby's expression doesn't change. Kinda hard when we all smell like week old sauerkraut. Yang sniffs Ruby, then herself, and crinkles her nose. Yeah, hard to deny that. Well, shower time! She stands and heads off towards the bathroom, only for Weiss to swiftly follow her. Now hold it, Zhao Long, I call dibs! We cut to Blake's face, watching the two as Yang teases back. Since when do you respect dibs protocol? Blake smiles fondly at them before getting a message on her scroll, which makes her raise her brows. Typing something back, she walks past the room's window, then off screen. Outside, the sky darkens into evening, and we cut to Ruby stepping out of the bathroom while running a towel through her hair. The other three members of RWBY are joined by John, and all four have scattered around the main living space while eating out of takeout
You got in
boxes.
there.
Ruby's handed her own box by Weiss, and she's quick to tuck in. Lifting a fork laden with food and through a full mouth, Yang says,
Wait.
This hits the spot. Thanks for dinner, John. Quickly swallowing, John replies, Not a problem. Looked like you guys had a rough day. Thought I'd cheer everyone up. Blake actually pauses eating to ask, Ren and Nora busy? John nods.
I wonder what other romances they're gonna do for fixing Ruby.
Early night in for them, he explains, struggling down a yawn himself before continuing. Our sleep schedules have been completely out of whack since we got to Atlas. It's becoming a real pain. Ruby looks to him curiously. What's causing it? And John shrugs back. Heck if I know, but this weird weather we've been having isn't helping. The three look at him as he takes a sip
Weird
of his
weather?
drink, confused, and Weiss asks, Weird weather? John answers back, equally confused. You guys have totally noticed it, right? The sun doesn't start rising until it's almost noon, then it only sticks around a few hours. They continue to stare at him blankly.
Oh, is this a Salem Grim whale thingy? Is that what it can do? I bet it is.
Before Weiss responds. That's normal? John blinks at her. What? Ruby nods excitedly, pointing to the dark sky outside the window. Yeah, because we're so far up north. Atlas sees less and less sun during the winter, but then it's almost all sun during the summer. John rears back in surprise. Really? Weiss looks to Ruby. How can you know that, but not that the seasons are different? Ruby
Oh, I was wrong. Damn.
jerks her chin away in indignance. I can study. I know my geology. Blake raises a brow and corrects.
Congrats. You're much more smarter than the actual show Ruby, guaranteed.
Don't you mean geography? There's a beat before Ruby deflates, hanging her head. Oh man. Blake gives her a reassuring head pat until Weiss speaks up. It's astronomy, actually. Blake blinks and Yang reaches over to pat her on the head. Nerds.
Yeah, I know that. I know that.
The group fall into a
But the fact she knows, though,
comfortable silence as they tuck in.
that's what I was getting at. Why did you correct yourself, Blade? Don't question me, okay? I wasn't thinking about it.
To their meals. It's only when Ruby's scroll chimes that the moment is broken. She looks down and frowns at yet another apology from Penny for canceling their plans. The other four almost immediately catch on and grow sympathetic. John leads off, asking, Really? Again? Ruby leans back in her chair, defeated. There's some dumb political speech thing she's working security at that's going to take all day tomorrow. Yang frowns.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
politics.
Rubes. Ruby just slumps further in her chair, less depressed than frustrated. Not your fault. Not like you can just magic Penny up some time to spend with me. Face scrunching, John sits up straighter in his chair.
What
Maybe
was that?
not, but what if you take a mission she's on? Ruby slumping stops.
What was that?
Magic Penny up some time to spend with me. Face scrunching, John sits up straighter in his chair.
Ah, probably
Maybe not, but
video
what if you
thing.
take a mission she's on? Ruby
From,
slumping
the
stops,
editing.
and she begins to blink as the suggestion sinks home. Oh, we can do that? John replies, confused. Yeah, we do it all the time. I just assumed you four like sticking together. Cool wolf pack thing. The other three blink at the information and then look to Ruby, who smiles back at them in embarrassment. Weiss rolls her eyes, but grows thoughtful as she mumbles. The only thing I can think of is the Counselor Hill's town hall tomorrow. Blake becomes even more attentive, ears perking tall. Think they have any more spots on the protection detail? Looks are shared between the group, and Yang sighs with a sheepish smile and a playful shrug. Looks like taking a break will have to wait. Ruby smiles at her team, eyes watery. You guys are the best. John nods sagely. Yeah, I'm awesome. Only to receive a flick on the ear from Weiss. Don't ruin the moment.
That's a
This
boy!
content and the rest of the content on Celtic Phoenix is brought to you by the wonderful people supporting the channel through Patreon. For just $1 or more, you can gain access to the Tundra Discord server, where you can interact with me and a whole host of my fellow internet colleagues, such as the other members of Team Frostbite
I'm actually a YouTube subscriber now.
and the Team Jacked podcast. Become a part of our regular bad fanfiction nights that happen every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time by joining our chat and adding your commentary to the reading. You can also join by becoming a member of the Celtic Phoenix YouTube channel, with the additional bonus of getting access to a bunch of sweet emoticons during every one of our streams, such as the Team Jacked podcast, which airs every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if either of those are too much for you, you can always subscribe to the channel, enable alerts, like this video, and share it around to all your friends. Thank you all so much for watching, and we now return
Oh, do a reaction like I'm doing.
you to your regularly scheduled fixing.
Bro, you're done already?
Yeah, bro.
How?
I hired Motion to hire AI employees.
It's like taking a break will have to wait. Ruby smiles at her team, eyes watery. You guys are the best. John nods sagely. Yeah, I'm awesome. Only to receive a flick on the ear from Weiss. Don't ruin the moment.
Hey, what the hell?
We cut to the next day as we're introduced to Fixing's version of Robin Hill, a confident and serious figure who strides with purpose through a somewhat dingy hallway. At her side is a perky sheepflauness, Fiona Time, who diligently runs through
I like this one a bit better already. Mwah.
several talking
Chef's
points
kiss.
listed on a clipboard, and Robin nods to each one as she does. The rear guard is Joanna Greenleaf, a large, imposing mercenary despite her relaxed smile and the colorful flowers that dot her hair. At the end of the hallway, reviewing a number of security cameras on her scroll, is May Marigold. With one last check, she closes it, just in time to meet Robin's approach. The entourage pause, long enough for May to give Robin a once-over, which ends with a soft, approving smile from May. Robin matches it, and there's a lingering moment between the two that seems less than professional before they both snap into professional personas. May opens the door at the end of the hallway, and Robin is escorted outside into Mantle's snowy streets, where a podium has been set up. The street has been cordoned off to account for the sizable crowd, the front portion of which are reporters. The mood
Where's this from? Is this from Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania or something? That jersey right there. That looks like a Could be a Steelers or the Boston one. Not
Among
sure.
the general populace is mixed, chatting amicably while waiting for the event to start, while a smaller but vocal portion protests near the back, with the most discernible slogans being "Hold up Hill" and "Do something." Robin sighs seeing some of those signs, muttering, "They really expect me to work miracles in 2 months." Fiona grimaces through a smile. "We kinda did sell you as a miracle worker in some of the ads." To which May adds,
Ah, propaganda.
"Told you that would backfire." Fiona perks, all strain erased from her smile as she points in the air. "In the short term, all we gotta do is get out there and make them feel listened to." Hill shakes her head and taps Fiona on the shoulder. "And solve all of their problems." To which Fiona nods in stalwart agreement.
If you want to be an actually good, honest politician, yeah. Or you could be like a UK Prime Minister, United States President, whatever you want to insert in there. Canadian Prime Minister.
Joanna calmly coughs into her hand
Ooh,
to catch
excuse
the
me.
other women's attention and nods
That's why I
off to the
said it
side
there.
pointedly. The camera pans to find Ruby, Weiss, Penny, and CL waiting to greet the entourage beside the building. May steps up to them, reading from her scroll. "Right, these are Strike Team 32 and Team RWBY." Awkwardly, Ruby corrects. "That's Ruby." May doesn't respond, and instead Hill steps up to them. "I'm honored to have the Defender of Mantle herself. Wasn't aware Ironwood was so concerned with my safety." Penny is about to respond cheerily, only for CL to step over her. Naturally, the General considers the protection of all members of the Round Table a high priority. CL winces as Penny bounces on her feet behind
I
her.
thought I
with
heard
an
something
enthusiastic
for that.
salute. "Don't worry, ma'am. We'll be sure you're completely safe." May appraises the four with a flat stare. "The confidence is appreciated, but I was looking for more seasoned huntsmen for the job." CL glares back. "Everyone who took up this assignment is a fully trained, certified huntsman. You needn't worry." May's gaze doesn't soften. In fact, it grows more doubtful. "Forgive me if I retain my reservations." Robin finally speaks up, firmly. "May?" May sighs and recomposes herself. "Right. I was told there'd be 8 of you." We cut to a shot of the crowd where Yang, Blake, Flint, and Neon are patrolling alongside some Elysian Knights while CL answers. "Half of our number are already in position." May sighs. "At the
Yeah.
very least, you have the basics down." "We'll need 2 of your people on Fiona as she fields the questions. Then 2 in the crowd. Joanna and I will split the rest of you and take the ends of the stage." CL nods in approval. "Sound plan." Penny and I. CL trails off when she turns around and finds Ruby clinging to Penny's arm, having effectively as her pair. Penny shows no outward expression this is a problem, and even gives a small wave when she realizes CL is staring. "Rose, this is a mission, not social hour." Ruby just responds with a chirpy, "Yep," and continues to stare into CL's
Why not both? Da-da-da-da-da.
eyes challengingly.
I was trying to reference that one. Why not both taco commercial? Little kid.
CL's eyes begin to twitch when Weiss walks up to rest a hand on her shoulder. "Come on, let the adults talk. They'll be fine." Shifting her glare to Weiss doesn't work, and CL eventually relents. "Fine," she says before narrowing her eyes pointedly at Ruby and Penny. "So long as you both stay on mission." Penny responds without a moment's pause. "Understood." May watches this exchange and grips her forehead in irritation. With a nod, she sends Joanna off with Ruby and Penny, while she herself steps closer to Weiss and CL. As diplomatically as she can, while still very much struggling, she formally introduces herself. "I'm May Marigold. Let's try to get through this without any problems." Weiss's face twists with disgust. "Ugh, Marigold. I thought I recognized the hair." May squints at Weiss before growing a bit of a wry smile. "Let me guess. Henry?" Weiss blinks in surprise, the crawfish hunch in her shoulders relaxing. "So it's not just me?" May shakes her head. "It's not just you. He's a real blockhead sometimes." The entourage moves towards the stage in unison, splitting off to flank it as May described. Ruby watches May, CL, and
the family got them woes.
Weiss walk over the stage, her brow furrowed as she scans over all of Robin's posse. She pulls out her scroll, muttering, "You know, I could have sworn the person that gave us the mission was a guy." Penny leans over and corrects. "I believe Miss Marigold's license hasn't been updated since she left the academy. I believe it was only after that she identified herself as a woman." Ruby nods along absently before...
Ah, yeah, Marigold's trans. I think she was the first trans character Ruby put it in.
snapping up at the last words in earnest shock. "You can do that?" We follow Robin up the stage to the podium, confidently grabbing
If you're transgender, yeah.
its edges as she leans into the microphone. Hello, people of Mantle and Atlas. Thank you for waiting for me. Unlike my fellow Roundtable members, I am not content to just sit in my seat and ignore the people that elected me. It is one of my primary goals to make town halls like this a regular occurrence, where the public has a chance to voice their concerns to ensure you are being heard. I'm more than happy to answer your questions at this time. In the center of the crowd, a smaller podium has been erected, next to which are Fiona, Blake, and Flint. A crowd member, a haggard-looking middle-aged man, steps up to the microphone to ask, You promised to end the trade embargo if you were elected, but that hasn't happened yet. Things are only getting more expensive down here. I can't feed my family if this keeps up. If the question upsets Robin, she doesn't show it, and she answers with no hesitation. Other members of the Roundtable are still convinced the embargo is a necessity. One of them is amenable to reopening trade to a limited extent, but the other two are firmly entrenched. Rest assured, I am working tirelessly to get a third vote on this matter. Mantle's struggle is Atlas's struggle, even if they don't realize it yet. Thank you for your question. Fiona shuffles the crowd member away from the podium as Flint leads a new one forward. The questions from the crowd fade into the background as we focus on Ruby and Penny, standing attentively behind.
Oh man, rolling the not 22 convince somebody must be tough, you know what I mean?
Joanna, though it's clear Ruby is a bit restless. So? She starts, her voice low so as to not travel beyond them. Just who is this Robin lady? Joanna looks over her shoulder with a raised brow. Do you not know? Realizing Joanna could hear her, Ruby scratches her head in embarrassment. There was a blurb on the mission page, but it didn't tell me much. I was more focused on the logistical stuff. Penny smiles and quickly recites. Robin Hill is a councilwoman who was controversially elected in Mantle's 11th representative vote, notable for her open trade policy in light of Atlas's embargo on the trade of goods. Ruby blinks at Penny and asks, Why does it sound like you were reading that from an article? To which Penny replies, I was. Joanna shakes her head in amusement and turns her attention back to the crowd. Ruby, smiling wistfully, stares out over the crowd, though it's clear her attention is anywhere but there. I miss spending time with you. Kinda sucks we have to do it on the clock. Penny nods in agreement. I'm sorry I have to keep rescheduling our plans to hang out, but I am glad you made the effort. I too miss spending time with you. The brief hesitation in her last sentence goes largely unnoticed by Ruby, who smiles in return. So, what's it like, being Defender of Mantle? Penny hops on her heels and pumps her arms proudly. It is an honor to serve Mantle on behalf of Atlas, to protect the people and all that is theirs to love and cherish. Ruby's face is unimpressed by the clearly rehearsed spiel and follows it up by asking, And what's it really like? Penny collects her thoughts, her smile waning. It is very rewarding. There is nothing I love seeing more than people happy, but it is also very demanding. CL, Flint, and Neon have all done their parts to involve me in leisure activities in my limited free time, but I am never sure if I am participating properly. Ruby waves that off. Please, you're like the funnest person ever! Penny's face remains frozen in thought, and Ruby nudges her side gently. There's not another person on the planet that could have made learning to walk in heels fun. Ruby shifts and takes on a respectable posture, holding a dainty hand to her chest. Weiss was always like, No, you don't. You're doing it wrong. Here, watch me. She sinks down with a shrug. And Yang would just laugh at me and tell me I should go with flats. Her eyes sparkle at Penny, barely resisting a laugh.
I mean, that's the normal take.
The action of a 275 clean some hitch barrel axe? That was hilarious! Ruby's enthusiasm slumps, muttering, Shame I never really cracked, walking in them. But I had a blast! Listening to Ruby ramble, Penny can't help but crack a smile and devolve into giggles. That description is very apt, she replies. Though I cannot help but think that my past self was incorrect. Your attempts at walking in heels was more akin to a Shellman cold-pressed hinge muzzle. There's a pause as Ruby stares at Penny, and then struggles to contain a full-on guffaw. Penny?
Get what?
Hisses, biting one of her
I don't get it.
You can't just say that. That's mean. The reply stirs another wave of giggles from the girls, and though Ruby seems
I don't have any
content,
fast
the level
and
of
sense
tension
knowledge.
ignites Penny's face. In a rare moment, Penny seems almost lost in thought. Ruby gently bumps shoulders with Penny, whispering gently, It's good to have you back. Penny smiles broadly, the tension still buried beneath. It is good to be back. They stand in amicable silence for a moment, listening to the speech before Ruby speaks again. I like your new look. Penny blinks for a moment and cocks her head towards Ruby. New look? Ruby nods. Yeah, the ponytail's a good look. Penny's brows furrow and her eyes scan from side to side as if trying to read something cryptic. My hair is different. RWBY chatters on, looking out into the crowd. Yeah, it's really cute. And you're taller now. Not gonna lie, kinda jealous. Penny's reply follows immediately. RWBY, please stop speaking. The words are distant, measured, and while it's technically a demand, it sounds almost like a request.
Oh, she don't know what she looked like before.
Plea. RWBY flinches at the abrupt conversation closer. Her face fluctuates through a number of worried expressions, several times opening her mouth to say something before frowning and doing as Penny requested by staying silent. We focus back in on Robin's town hall as an older woman asks,
Meet Gym Monster 2, your all-in-one smart home gym. Set it up anywhere. No
Gym Monster
kids.
can suck him this monster.
anything about the disappearances lately. We don't even know if Atlas is investigating. As the woman speaks, we focus on a cloaked figure shifting through the crowd. Robin nods solemnly to the question. I've been doing my best to keep up to date with crime statistics in Mantle, and the rise in disappearances has been troubling. The figure that snuck into the crowd mutters, just loud enough for the people around him to hear. Troubling my ass, she's done nothing for months. All she cares about is that council seat. While it doesn't pick up right away, a few people begin to scout Robin. Unawares,
well, shit, here we go.
Robin continues, eyes firm. I've been assured by the officers in charge of Mantle security that there is an open case file. But considering several of the missing peoples were reporters less than favorable to Atlas, I've tasked members within my own staff to conduct their own investigation into the matter. The cloaked figure has moved to a different portion of the crowd and whispers loudly, Wait, are the Atlesians targeting us now? Which then provokes a different crowd goer to say, My cousin, she was working on a paper like that, do you think? Around them, more and more people become agitated, and we pan back to see several instances of this rippling through the crowd. Robin frowns, reading the crowd's mood dropping, and grabs the podium microphone. I too am worried after what happened at Beacon, but we are doing our best to find the true culprit. A voice shouts from the crowd, Why are you protecting them? While no one is quite sure where the yelling came from, the camera pans over to the cloaked figure of Tyrion, lowering his hands from his lips with a giddy smile. Robin glares in the shout's general direction and snaps. I would never defend the guilty, but we cannot jump to conclusions. The nervous murmuring already taking the crowd by storm grows in volume. We cut away to the perspective of a security camera and pull back gradually to a tight shot of Watts' wicked smile. The camera stays close to his motions, following his fingers as he activates something on one of his...
Oh yeah, that's right, that didn't work.
We jump to a park in Mantle with a freestanding stone arch as its centerpiece, the frame of the main gate to the old wall, left as a relic of the past. A larger metal wall stands a few hundred feet away, adjacent to the park, with smaller utilitarian industrial gates serving to defend Mantle from outside threats. And then the gates begin to open.
Well,
this is only a few city blocks away from the town hall, and we're given yet another vantage point on the event to see that the crowd has begun to devolve into speculative shouting, growing panic, and misplaced anger. All of this is egged on by Tyrion, who becomes a floating provocateur within the crowd. We cut back to the industrial doors as they finish opening. A pair of Atlas Knights are oblivious to the open gateway until it's too late. Several Grims streak out of the dark passage, bowling them over and destroying the robots simply by accident. We cut to their perspective, seeing the faint miasma of negative emotion that coats the city, but also the hotspot of the town hall. We cut to RWBY and Joanna eyeing the now rowdy crowd with anxiety, both of them tensed for a fight. Penny seems attentive and still, but it's clear there is still a distance in her eyes, so much so that when people start screaming about Grim, she's actually startled to awareness. The shadowy monsters charge towards the crowd, bowling through the hastily assembled Atlesian Knights, and as the chaos erupts, Tyrion slinks into the shadows to vanish from sight, eyes...
Yep, here we go, terrorist attack.
The first to really react are RWBY and Neon, who open with hit-and-run tactics on the Grim to slow their advance. It gives enough time for Flint and his clones to sprint to the front of the crowd and create a wall of sound that repels most of the Grim. The crowd begins to flee in panic, and Fiona is knocked to the ground in the shuffle. Blake manages to grab her and swing them out of harm's way before she can get trampled, something Fiona is incredibly grateful for when they land on the stage. May and Joanna circle around Robin and Fiona, giving Blake a thankful nod before she swings off to help the other huntsman. Flint's wall is holding, though some of the Grim manage to slip through. Those that do are met by Yang, Blake, RWBY, and Neon. Deeper back, Weiss summons up her armored Gygus as a last line of defense for the fleeing crowd, and while holding that concentration, she calls upon a slow gift that encircles Flint, extending how long he'll be able to hold his breath while holding a sustained note that can keep up the barrier. This provides ample time for Penny to dive into the fray and begin to absolutely dismantle the Grimm forces. Ciel runs up beside Robin's posse, providing cover fire with her weapons, and gives them a curt suggestion to leave, which the four are more than eager to accept. Ciel flips her visor down over her eyes, and we see through its heads-up display as it analyzes the still oncoming Grimm horde. It calculates the multiple routes the Grimm may have taken, the distance from which they can sense, and the nearest entrances to the city. Overlaying a map of Manhattan...
A perfect anything for Professor Danger Snooper. Kind of exclusive watch nice for sale. 90.
She quickly determines which entry points the Grimm compiles the data and with a flick of her hand over the virtual interface, shunts it off towards Penny, instantly delivering the information to Penny's mind. Penny, we need these gates secured. Penny gives a resolute, Roger, before blasting off into the sky and over the rooftops towards the gates. We follow Penny as she arrives at the gates and locates the doors. She cuts them free of the clamps holding them open, letting gravity slam them back down on top of the Grimm hordes. Swooping down, she begins to clean up the remaining Grimm while we cut back to the rest of the teams, doing much the same. With the last of the Grimm gone, all anyone can do is share looks between each other, confused how an attack like that even happened. When Penny swoops in, Ciel is frowning, borderline furious. Penny... Polendina, where were your eyes? Penny looks aside, clearly ashamed and uncomfortably quiet. Ciel's glare falls to RWBY, then back to Penny before motioning between them. You two can't be paired up together anymore. RWBY throws her arms to the side. Oh, come on! But Ciel is adamant. No, Rose, people almost died. To everyone's surprise, Penny's voice cuts through the burgeoning argument. It wasn't her fault. It was... mine. Ciel stares at Penny, at her clearly conflicted face, before sighing in frustration.
If you're using AI to seem awkward, Quillbot fixes that.
Literally a humanizer for your writing.
And Quillbot isn't just a
Sorry, that's just been it. I don't use the AI. I was just using that thing for forum post. I just use it for grammar checking on my cell phone. That's all I use it for. Because Grimly doesn't want to work with me. But yeah, Penny did froze up there. But it is because RWBY did bring up those questions. But actually, you know what? She had no idea that it would bring up that kind of response from Penny, though.
She looks back at RWBY with a side eye. You two clearly don't work well together. RWBY's frown turns into a glare at Ciel, who motions to Penny to follow. Come on, 32, we're tracking down stragglers. Team RWBY, you get to stay on site to clean up this mess. Watching Penny leave, RWBY's face softens with concern. We cut to the same security feed from earlier, showing the damage left in the panic's wake, before the screen cuts over to a news report interviewing a citizen. The panic and confusion is evident in their voice, and we flip between different interviews from different news channels about the incident. While all the accounts are unique, and some are even wildly out of proportion, there's a clear thread stringing them together. The people from Mantle at that town hall are growing wary of Atlas, and their speculation about why the Grimm got in suspects some kind of inside job. In his chair, Watts leans back, kicking his feet up on the desk and...
Really? None of them thought about terrorism at all?
Plucking his mustache with glee.
I mean, I thought maybe some of them might have thought terrorism, because they would connect the disappearances with the, with what happened that somebody hacked in. That's probably too much, never mind.
A door opens to the side, and Tyrion's ecstatic voice comes pouring in. That was exhilarating! The Scorpion Faunus waltzes into the room and drapes his back dramatically over Watts' desk, staring wildly at the ceiling. I was absolutely beside myself! Your plans are always so dreadfully boring, but here we are! Rolling over, Tyrion pinches Watts' cheek. You're back in the swing of things! Watts, eyes enraged, calmly reaches up and wrenches Tyrion's hand from his face. Never touch me again. Tyrion shakes out his hand with a grunt of disdain before moving on. Though, I do wonder, why didn't you just open all the doors at once? Watts stretches and flips through his screens, analyzing dataset after dataset displayed to him. We're only on step 1. He answers smoothly. To open all the gates would show our hand. The volume of Grimm would be nowhere near enough to overwhelm the populace. The military would sweep in, save the day, and it would be obvious there was some external tampering. His screen switches over to some sort of
true.
Glass building complex. Today was us merely planting a seed. The logs will show the doors had a timer malfunction, the military takes the blame for the faulty equipment, and the fomented hatred is simply the way things are. Tyrion flips around to squat on Watts' desk, scratching his chin in appreciation. I see. And when do we water these seeds? Smiling to himself, Watts taps away at his scroll. Soon. You know what they say. No society is more than 3 meals away from revolution. His finger comes down hard on one of the scrolls, and we cut to black, ending the episode.
Alright, let's let this go. That was pretty good. However, I wonder if they're gonna. Well, we're gonna watch that next episode, of course. I would take a quick break, but I wonder if they're gonna link it to like Salem and such. Like Salem having a hold on everything. Alright, I'll be like having insiders hacked into the security thingy. Because they were never actually able to stop them before. The like Cinder and such from hacking. Okay. Let me set up the next episode real quick. Episode 9. All right.
Television commercial
Time for
from
that to go
Schnee
back.
Dust Company's subsidiary company called Snowfield, a major food producer in Atlas that utilizes state-of-the-art technology to maximize crop yield and, allegedly, quality. It touts dozens of vertical farms and greenhouses, a fully automated workforce, and precision pest control, all of which goes towards producing as much as 40% of the food consumed in Atlas and Mantle. As we get clips of the sprawling towers, repurposed at Legion Knights called Green Thumbs, and employees studying crops in a lab, they're sporadically cut by static and replaced by new scenes. The robotic staff tearing crops out of the ground, smashing expensive equipment, breaking windows, and all around causing mayhem and havoc. By the end, we're left lingering on a camera shot of the ruins of one of the greenhouses. All of the green thumbs deactivated and scattered throughout the plant, the moon bright as snow begins to drift through the holes in the building. Punctuating this is the commercial's last line, asking, "What can green do for you?" The footage glitches, and a script in the bottom left corner says deleting footage, paired with the pixels of the screen bubbling with the effect signature to Watts' method of tracking down images. As the screen gets partway deleted, we fade in on the same scene and camera angle, though now it's day and it's clear we're no longer stuck from the perspective of security footage. The entire greenhouse is in shambles, and just about everything, green or otherwise, is buried in a layer of snow. Walking into frame is CL, her visor over her eyes as she sweeps the scene. We get a shot from its perspective
There goes all
and
the
data
crops.
feeds feeding her, calculating things like specific impact points, temperature fluctuations,
Unless
and the percentile of living
they're okay in
biomass
the
among
cold or
adopted
whatever.
plants. She takes off her visor with a frown. This is worse than the initial report said. Turning around, we find Penny, Flint, Ruby, and Weiss are all part of the investigation team, spreading out amongst the rows of crops. Weiss and Flint are the furthest back, inspecting an overseer's desk and the documents within. Penny is examining one of the green thumbs with a distinct look of concern, and Ruby is awkwardly trying to stay busy by sifting through one of the troughs of plants. Occasionally her eyes flicker over to Penny, and words try to make their way to her throat, but she falls short of saying anything, especially after CL sends her a pointed glare. Weiss scowls at some of the documents. You know, just because I am a Schnee doesn't mean I have meaningful insight on everything my family owns. CL walks past Penny and approaches the two. Your business acumen will be more than enough, Miss Schnee. Besides Weiss, Flint speaks up. Besides, that's why she has me here. Family used to run these farms. Weiss blinks. Oh, and Flint cuts her off. No apologies. We're square after the tournament. Weiss's face splits into a soft smile before one of the documents Flint is holding catches her eyes. Hey, look here. She, Flint, and CL lean in to better investigate the page. As they do, the camera pulls back to Ruby, still not really knowing what she's doing.
Yeehaw, partner.
As she's sifting through the dirt. Signed in defeat, she leans back to look at Penny again with a frown. Penny is still busy inspecting the robot, manually moving its limbs and joints, paying particular attention to the hands and knuckles. Ruby glances over at CL, Weiss, and Flint, all locked in deep conversation, before hesitantly sliding up beside Penny. What are you looking for? Penny stays focused on inspecting the robot, answering with little inflection. I am ascertaining the exact damages and their cause. My suspicions are not promising. Ruby looks around the room warily. And those are? Penny gingerly lets the robot's arms fall to its sides before standing fully. My current hypothesis is that these knights were the perpetrators of the damage. We are either looking at a form of internal sabotage from a company employee, or an external hack. It would be the simplest explanation for the damages in the missing security footage. Ruby frowns
and maybe you'll do an update to your stuff then, for your mechs, so it doesn't happen again.
Concern. Like what happened to you? Back at Beacon? Penny's face becomes more pensive, and Ruby realizes she's put her foot in her mouth. She
Ruby!
scrambles. Oh, sorry, I didn't. Just forget I'd said anything, okay? Penny shakes her head, her words forcibly cheery. No, it is not a problem. Truly, much of that time is missing from my memory logs. I had to be informed of what happened to me after I was rebuilt. Penny looks up into the robot's reflective screen of a face. You needn't worry about my safety. My code is far more robust, but I am afraid that my siblings haven't received as much attention. Ruby cocks her head to the side. Your siblings? Before the conversation can continue,
Oh, that's cute.
Ciel's voice shouts over them. Rose! What did I say? Ruby scowls, turns, and folds her arms in Ciel's direction. I was asking her some questions about the damages, or are we not even allowed to talk about the mission now? Ciel blinks in disbelief at Ruby's indignance, while Weiss looks up with a frown. Penny jumps in to steer the conversation away from the brewing argument. Ciel, initial findings indicate that our original supposition was correct. Ciel presses a knuckle to her lips in thought, and Flint hangs his head with a scowl. Means we're gonna have to talk directly to the suits. Weiss scowls as well, thumbing through the papers. It's gonna be pulling teeth with them. No company wants to acknowledge a loss this large, let alone my father. Ruby looks around them at the destruction, and beyond the windows to the other facilities that seem equally damaged.
Yes, I want to turn on my light.
How much of a loss was this? Ciel, having pulled out her scroll, replies. Early estimates point to a cumulative loss of 2,500,000 tons of produce. Ruby blinks at
Oh!
In people numbers? Ciel and Penny both pause before answering almost completely in sync. Around 25% of Atlas's yearly food consumption. Blinking, Ruby looks between them, not sure how to respond. Flint whistles as he and Weiss make their way out of the busted open double doors to the facility, followed closely by the other three. That's
I love a smile. I just want to say I love a smile.
enough to crater most companies, though more like a drop in the bucket for the SDC. Weiss stops in the doorway, arms crossed, the edge of Atlas's floating island visible only a couple hundred feet away from the facility. Please, we aren't that rich. In the background, as she says this, a massive airship begins to rise past Atlas's lip. The letters SDC are written in big, bold font vertically along the support strut. We cut between the other four huntsmen, watching it rise, and the ship itself on its ascent with Weiss in the background. Each letter coming into view only when the camera cuts back to it. Weiss sags, sighs, and says, "Let's just go."
There's a creative side hustle almost nobody is talking about, and it's not content creation.
And we
Being a
don't need
YouTuber or a
your
streamer.
shit.
This content and the rest of the content on Celtic Phoenix is brought to you by the wonderful people supporting the
We're
channel
gonna
through
skip
Patreon.
this because we already
Just
saw it.
one downtown Atlas. The crew approached the reception company corporate headquarters, a massive skyscraper in the heart of downtown Atlas. So much for watching, and we now return you to your regularly scheduled fixing. We cut to Schnee Dust Company corporate headquarters, a massive skyscraper in the heart of downtown Atlas. The crew approached the receptionist, who's busy handling a matter on the desk when Weiss says, "We're here to see Jacques Schnee." The receptionist gives a defeated sigh and begins to recite. "Mr. Schnee does not take unsolicited meat." She looks up and sees Weiss crossing her arms with a glare, and Weiss pulls out her scroll. "Check again. We're penciled in under Atlas security." We cut to the five in an elevator, being led by the clearly nervous secretary. They arrive at the appropriate floor, and the woman swipes her scroll to open the door. She lets them all out into the comfortably furnished hallway, fervently muttering apologies for inconveniencing them before swiping her card and taking the elevator back down. Ruby, Flint, and Penny wave the woman off, while Ciel and Weiss are busy approaching the doors to Jock's office. Stopping at the room's buzzer, Weiss composes herself, sucking in a breath with her eyes closed.
Alright, here we
Pushing
go,
the
Wes.
button, she
You
waits
go,
for a
go.
response.
You got this.
Jock's voice comes through, clear and snappy. "What?" Weiss's mood sours instantly hearing his voice as she replies. "We're here?" His reply is quick. "Oh, wonderful. Damaged goods here to talk about damaged goods. I cannot wait." The speaker blips out, and there's an audible click from the double doors. Weiss stays still, staring daggers at the intercom, fist clenched tight. This doesn't go unnoticed by the rest of the crew, with most staring at her with concern, though Ciel seems far more piercing. She walks past Weiss, pushing Weiss's shoulder back towards the elevator. "Thank you for your assistance on this matter, Miss Schnee. However, I believe certain conflicts of interest make you unsuitable to attend this meeting. I believe the four of us can handle the discussions on our own." Weiss double takes at Ciel's
Yeah, that's a
direct
good
and
idea.
emotionless statement. "What? Are you joking? I would never help him." RWBY shuffles awkwardly off to the
No,
side.
they don't want you.
Actually, I think it's more you might kill him a little bit. Wise stares at RWBY, mouth open in shock.
You know, just stab him a bit. But if you couldn't stab him, go for the heart, though. Or the brain.
To close it in a moment of self-reflection. You may have a point. Flynn steps up beside CL with a confident smirk. Don't worry, Schneek. Wise. I got the corpus beak handled. Exhaling her stress, Wise shakes her head. Fine. Just don't believe a word he says. Oh, and word to the wise. It confuses him when people don't sit. He elevates his chairs. CL opens the door and Flynn follows her, walking backwards to throw Weiss a wink. Got it. Penny follows after her, and RWBY lingers before giving her a quick hug. Weiss hugs back before
Friend
RWBY joins the
hug.
three. The door clicks closed, and Weiss looks around the hall. Approaching the elevator, Weiss swipes her scroll against its sensor, only to receive a rejection from the machine. Confused, she tries a few more times, getting rejected each time. Face scrunching with confusion, she wanders around to the other doors on this floor, scanning the scroll in all of them and being rejected by every single one. Even the hallway's bathroom, she discovers, to which she grouses, Really? This has to be a fire code violation. It would be if it didn't unlock during a fire. Weiss spins around in surprise.
I mean, to be honest, she pissed him off, so.
To find Whitley standing behind her, glaring at her. Whitley? What are you doing here? Whitley checks his nails before sarcastically casting his gaze around the hallway. Sister, I work here. That is to say, I was working until my security alert triggered because someone was using a revoked card over and over again. You do realize all you succeeded in doing was giving our security staff a meltdown, don't you? Weiss matches his glare, actually mirroring his standoffish posture, eyes flickering poignantly to Jock's office behind Whitley. What a shame! If only someone hadn't revoked my clearance, then that wouldn't have happened. Whitley rolls his eyes and turns his back to Weiss, walking back towards one of the other doors on the floor. Oh, there you go, blaming everyone but yourself. Couldn't possibly be the consequences of going missing for months on end. We should ignore all the safety protocols we have in place. They don't do us any good. Should we make an exception just for you? Weiss scowls and averts her gaze, not that he can
What's
see.
that? Okay, so Nick, Ellen, and somebody
Gritting her
else.
teeth and clenching her fist, she swallows her pride. I'm sorry. You're right. It is my fault. Whitley freezes.
Are those the sketchy huntsman names or some random names?
Confusion written all over his face. He turns as Weiss continues. I'll discuss this with him later. For now, can you help me get down to the lobby? Whitley's brows warble, still baffled by Weiss's behavior, but he nods and walks towards the elevator. Of course. We can't have unsanctioned guests wandering our offices. Weiss watches him after a moment before following. We cut to Whitley swiping his scroll and the two entering the elevator. Awkward silence abounds as the descent starts, the skyline of Atlas framing them both through the elevator's window. Eventually, Weiss tries to
nice
strike up a
view.
conversation. How have you been? Whitley's response is cold and sarcastic, keeping his eyes affixed to the doors. Oh, absolutely wonderful. One of our subsidiaries going into crisis has been a delightful new experience. Irritation and anger flash across Weiss's face, but it melts quickly into disappointment. I was genuinely asking. Like before, Whitley's brows scrunch, confused. Since when do you genuinely care? Weiss's dour face hardens somewhat. Since I know what it's like. Being the heir is stressful. I thought you'd appreciate someone who could understand you. Whitley's face twists with contempt. I doubt you could. Unlike you, I actually wanted to be heir. There's a ding and the doors open to the building's lobby. Whitley steps aside with a bitter flourish. I'd offer to show you the rest of the way out, but we both know you're quite good at leaving. The words clearly hurt Weiss, her face dropping any sense of edge.
I
Averting her gaze and
mean,
mastering her composure,
he has
Weiss
a
takes a
point.
decisive breath and walks out into the lobby. As Whitley presses the button to ascend, Weiss looks back at him. Take care of yourself. Whitley barely acknowledges it with a grunt before the doors close, leaving Weiss alone with her reflection in the mirror-like sheen. John's voice cuts over the scene, maligning. I can't believe we're stuck doing this.
I see what they did. There's a character over there, and I forget what the painting is, but he's right there. It's a famous painting, but he just replaced it with himself.
Find him, Nora, and Ren in the hallway.
Who did that truck? Trageza, splendid. Splendid. Love it.
Into Roman and Neo's room. Ren and Nora each carrying covered trays of food as John leads them. Ren comments on John's lament. Yang has mentioned how restless the both of them have become. They may see pulling pranks as one of their few outlets. John hunches in disbelief. Yeah, but what kind of pranks are they pulling to send people to therapy? Nora chuckles, a bit awkward, a bit maniacal. Oh, I can think of a few. Which makes John blink in concern. They arrive at the door with the 4 guards, John giving a salute on behalf of himself and his team, and he pulls out his scroll. Entering a passcode, he gains access to the cameras inside Roman and Neo's main room, showing the two bored out of their minds with the TV on in the background. Nora looks over his shoulder and her eyes bug out in alarm. There are cameras in there? She begins to look around the hallway. Are there cameras out here? Or in our room? She begins checking herself over.
Inside the domes themselves,
was I the camera all along?
Probably. I mean, maybe, but that is invasion of privacy. At the very least, it'll be out in the hall and maybe looking outside the window. Maybe.
John ignores Nora's shenanigans, but not Ren's following question. You have access to them. Nodding, John flips through a few different feeds of different rooms and angles. Everyone else might like them, but they're still criminals. I also don't want to get pranked either. Finished checking the feed, John knocks on the door before letting the guards open it for him. Delivery! Don't worry, we got you the best slop from the cafeteria. John enters the room but immediately slows to a stop, noticing Roman and Neo are not sitting where they were originally. Frowning, he walks over to the couch and waves his hand through the space where they were, finding nothing, not even one of Neo's illusions. Growing more concerned,
they escaped.
He pulls out his scroll, and his face pulls tight in anger as he sees the camera feeds, still showing Roman and Neo bored out of their minds watching TV. Son of a bitch! John closes the tab, storms past Ren and Nora into the hallway, startling the guards, and begins to dial Ironwood and Ruby. We cut to Weiss, sitting patiently on the ledge of a park fountain outside of SDC headquarters.
So, Neo's semblance. I know it's been a while since I've seen the series, like the season, so it can interface with technology. Unless Watts also helped, but I doubt it.
Staring into the temperature-controlled water. She's distracted when CL, Ruby, Flint, and Penny all exit the building. Penny is her normal, cheery self, and Flint is as relaxed as he normally is, though his face hints at some mild frustration. Ruby, meanwhile, is slumped over with a vacant expression, contrasted nicely by CL's intense focus as she types away at her own scroll. Weiss approaches them, curious about the meeting. Ruby groans to the sky. We got nothing. CL looks up at Ruby, frowning. Nonsense. We learned the assigned employee movements for the last week, the major third-party shipments that may have had access to Snowfield's network, and the exact defensive protocols their network had in place. Ruby glares at CL. And how does any of that help us now? CL is silent, her typing pausing in tandem as an answer fails to manifest. Flint speaks up instead. We got nothing. Ruby throws her hands in the air. Exactly!
Oh, excuse me.
Flint looks to Weiss sympathetically. Your old man's shrewd. I thought for sure he was like some of the fogies I've met, but he really has the bite. Even still, it was easy to tell he's pissed about this. Weiss is about to comment when, uncharacteristically, CL makes commentary while keeping focus on her scroll. At least he pretends to be polite. Couldn't say the same about that miniature version of him we ran into. Ruby perks up before slipping into a pout. Oh yeah, Weiss, I didn't know you had a little brother. Why didn't you tell me? Weiss pinches her forehead. Because he's an annoying brat. He and I don't exactly share many fond memories. Penny rocks on her heels. I thought he was quite pleasant. He was very eager to show us how to exit the building, despite how much CL insisted we knew where to go. CL's face reddens and she averts her gaze, jaw
That's
clenched
because
in
he didn't
frustration.
trust you.
Flint grows a teasing grin, both he and Ruby holding back chuckles. Most polite shouting match I've ever seen. CL snaps at Flint's direction. I did not shout. I raised my volume. That is all. Which only prompts Ruby and Flint to start laughing.
Let's turn it
Ruby's still
up.
laughing when her scroll begins to ring. She pulls it out as she answers, only for her smile to drop when she hears the voice on the other side. Shock on her face, she asks, They're gone? Our last scene of the episode follows a pair of Atlesian guards walking off a train in the heart of Atlas's downtown district. They make their way across a few city blocks before taking a turn into an alley. The glass illusion around them shears away into ghostly shards, revealing Roman and Neo, stretching their limbs and relaxing into their more natural gaits. That could not have gone any better if I don't say so myself. With a playful smirk, he adds, "Why, we can make a career out of it." Neo smiles, but it doesn't quite meet her rolling eyes. Roman's own smile softens and he rests a comforting hand on her back. "Blondie won't hold it against you." Neo's eyes flick up to his, doubtful, and she signs, "She might, but you're more important right now." Roman actually stops walking, face inscrutable, as it flickers between microscopic expressions of pride, affection, grief, guilt, regret, and a whole host of subtler emotions. Settling on a slight smile, Roman ruffles the hat on Neo's head and says, "Well, it's your cue. Lead the way." Neo reaches up and carefully loops their hands together before they both set off down the alleyway. We fade to black and end the episode.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's
Yeah,
this
we ain't
dope tech
interested.
from Wix.
I have to go see what Doug's barking at. And back. Bit of a longer episode.
Of digital lines scanning across the darkness. They burn away the black screen, revealing CL, using her visor to analyze what used to be Roman and Neo's apartment for clues. Half a dozen Atlas texts are spread throughout the room, coming through every inch of personal effects. In the center, overseeing this, is Ironwood himself, glaring at a note which simply reads, "Time enough for me," in flowy, fanciful script.
That'd be Neo.
And pink of a face sticking its tongue out. Ironwood scowls harder and folds it aggressively before tucking it into his pocket. From the hallway, there's a brief commotion as RWBY arrives at the open door, the guards posted there blocking her from entry. She huffs out, "General, I got here as fast as I could." Ironwood looks over at her, eyes cold. "I didn't call for you." RWBY is taken off kilter by the chilly response, and she glances around nervously. Well, I mean, he's kind of my responsibility, isn't he?" Ironwood scrutinizes her and silently waves her in. The guards let her pass, and he asks, "Do you know something that I don't?" RWBY rubs her arm, scanning the room. "I thought that he had changed. Thought that Oz... I don't know, he was different." Ironwood's face softens. "He was a criminal, RWBY." And RWBY shrugs. "Well, he had the chance to run in Arcus, but he came back. And he hasn't tried to kill us once since he joined." From across the room, CL shoots RWBY a baffled, disgusted look. Ironwood sighs and pinches his nose. That's hardly a ringing endorsement. Turning towards the window to the city, Ironwood adds, We'll find him. There's no way out of the kingdom. RWBY slumps
You
and looks
sure
out the
about
window
that?
as well. Maybe if we'd given him a little more freedom. Inhaling sharply, Ironwood's face twists in disappointment. RWBY, have you ever considered he was a plant? He was lying through his teeth. Like Leonardo. Like Cinder. RWBY's defeated expression only sinks more. I'm sure it was Oz. I'm sure Roman had changed. Ironwood needles in on that. But how do you know? RWBY is obviously conflicted, and for a second, she parts her lips to speak. CL's voice breaks through the moment. Sir, we found how they hacked the cameras. Ironwood looks to her, but before he heads over, warmth re-enters his face, and he rests a comforting hand on RWBY's shoulder. Don't worry. We'll take care of this. You can go. He leaves to talk with CL, and RWBY watches him for a second. She turns back to the window and looks out at the city as the streetlights flicker to life. We pan down to Mantle, to one of said streetlights switching on. With the darkness washed away, we're treated to an image of Penny staring towards the camera. The camera pulls back and the world begins to lighten up, revealing Penny looking at us to be a reflection of the real one, staring into a well-kept storefront. Beyond the glass is a display of Penny-themed merchandise, boldly celebrating her as the Defender of Mantle. She steps forward and rests her hand on the window, eyes never leaving the cheerful pictures depicting her flying through the sky with a smile on her face. After a moment of lingering, Penny pulls herself away and steps back from the window, and launches up into the sky, vanishing around one of the buildings down the street. The camera pulls back in the opposite direction, revealing the opposite crossroads to a novelty bar called -451 that sells itself on being completely outside in the cold. Yang and Blake are standing on the sidewalk beside it, the former reading over the day's specials before they're approached by Flint and Neon. Greetings are quickly exchanged, and the four begin to head off together down the road. Flint glances over at the duo and asks,
Like, do they mean like ice cream novelties? Oh, something else. I mean, you could call me heathen, but I do have ice cream in the winter.
You girls ready for some hard labor? Yang rolls her
Even nice coffee.
eyes and flexes her arm. Please, have you seen these guns? This will be a cakewalk. Blake tilts
Ah, yes, we can see him right there, just circling around him. Look at that little pop. Excellent.
her head at Neon and Flint. I'm surprised you're interested in volunteer work. I heard you two like to focus on the bigger picture. Neon shrugs the comment away. I don't mind helping with the small stuff from time to time. And Flint adds, helps the pay is good. Dr. P knows how to treat his volunteers. That earns a flat stare and a wry comment from Blake. How noble. Flint shrugs and motions to his trumpet. What? Upkeep is expensive. Neon laughs and poses playfully. You don't end up this cute and a complete ass kicker without shelling out for the best. Taking a more dignified pose, she goes from playful to prideful. Gotta set a good example in all that. Yang raises a brow. Who are you trying to impress?
Kingdom Hearts 1 in
head.
music. Kingdom Hearts, I think.
Everyone, I guess. She skates along, her mood sobering. Might not look like it, but it's still pretty fresh to have Faunus at the academy. People still aren't really used to it, so there's a lot of pressure. Giving Yang and Blake a glance from the side, Flint elaborates.
Yeah, understandable.
We had to kick up a fight for her to make it into the semifinals. Meeting after meeting. Spinning around to face them, Neon groans. An absolute slog. But Flint, Colt, and Ivory had my back. For a moment, Neon is thoughtful, but perks up with determination. And because of them, everyone in Atlas had no choice but to cheer for a Faunus. Because it wasn't just a Faunus up there, it was their Atlesian champion. Neon pumps a fist in the air victoriously. Yang can't help but snicker. Until Weiss and I kicked your butts. Neon rounds on her with an exaggerated scowl. Oh, and don't you think I've forgotten about that. You got lucky. Resting a hand on her hip smugly, Yang replies. Any place, any time. Blake is quiet during
Don't
this
do it right
exchange,
now.
mulling over what Neon said, and finally asks, are you really okay with that? Neon breaks from her stare down with Yang and blinks at Blake. What? Frowning, Blake elaborates. They weren't cheering for you, they were cheering for their team. Doesn't that miss the point? Neon raises a brow, confused. Does it, matter? Blake's ears fold. They should have respected you as your own person. Neon blinks before realizing
One
what Blake is
step
trying
at a
to say.
time.
Well, yeah, but it's just part of the process. You can't rush it. Neon spins to a flourishing halt next to a bus stop, where a large Atlas recruitment poster has been placed, one featuring only Faunus. Neon is a second in line, between an otter
Yeah, little by little.
faunus and a familiar-looking dog faunus. See this? Worth more than its weight in dust. A decade ago, we were kicking our faunus out of the kingdom. Now, we're a selling point. Blake blinks at the poster. Isn't that just exploitation? And Neon shrugs before linking back up with their group. Well, duh, of course it is, but it's showing us off as a positive. I'm not some token faunus. I'm a poster girl. Blake is skeptical, but Flint elaborates. The guy in front saved a lot of lives a couple of years back in a mining accident. He's a local hero. Neon retches. He's a real goody two-shoes, but he's great with the camera. You want a real hero? She slaps the otter faunus. Protected a whole outland village by herself when the Grimm started acting up last year. People love her outside of the city. Looking directly at Blake, she shrugs. My point is, we're getting there. Sure, it sucks at times, but you gotta keep plugging along. Slow and steady, you know? Blake goes quiet, face pensive, as she mutters out uncertainly. Maybe. I don't know. Silence stretches out between them all, so much so that Yang absently comments, So, this is awkward. Flint.
Well, Blake, what the White Faunus was doing is called terrorism, and that makes people harder to like you guys if they see you as a bunch of terrorists. So that way that's why the White Fang stuff after Adam took over didn't work. But right now with what Neon did is helping Atlas with its racism problem with Faunus. It's propaganda, but it's a step in the right direction for Faunus and Atlas.
Very smoothly waves his hands through the air. Let's mix up the beat. You guys got any plans for the solstice party? Blake raises a brow and Yang blinks.
Oh, they do solstice.
Solstice party? Which prompts Neon to skate up to Yang, dumbfounded. Don't you know? It's only the biggest party of the year. Flint nods. Everyone gets together to see the sun off for the season. Bunch of partying across both cities. Neon grabs Yang's hand.
Ooh, that's not good. That's a target then.
Excitedly, bouncing on her heels. Oh, you should come out clubbing with Flint and me. We know.
If you don't know what they refer to as I cannot speak. As a solstice, it's referencing the winter solstice.
All the best spots. And ooh, I've got some blush that's totally your shade. Will make you look so pretty now that you've taken off those gaudy hair extensions. Yang awkwardly draws her hand back with an annoyed smile. Yeah, maybe. I'll have to see what everyone else is doing. While not really picked up on by Flint and Neon, Blake takes note of Yang's discomfort with a soft frown. Neon hops back excitedly. You won't regret it. Oh, this is going to be such a blast. She throws her hands up in fervor, and it takes Flint resting a hand on her shoulder to bring her down. Dial it back, girl, you're overselling. Neon pouts. I am not. And the two devolve into
Yes, you are.
A round of playful bickering. Blake continues to look at Yang skeptically until a noise catches her attention. Looking forward, she calls out, Why is there so much traffic? All eyes fall to the street, where a long chain of hover trucks are being held up, going the same way the quartet are heading. Some drivers have even gotten out of their cabs and started to talk to one another, disgruntled by the standstill. Flint frowns. That's where we're going. Looking to each other, the four move much more quickly down the road, more and more disparaged by the unmoving traffic. They come upon a warehouse where the standstill originates, a mess of trucks in a veritable knot trying to enter and exit the facility. Fiona is out front, struggling to direct traffic. She sees the four, and catching Blake among them, waves to her pleasantly. This pleasantness slips away when she sees Yang clearly, but we're not left time to linger on it. One of the trucks near her honks its horn, making Fiona leap and cover her ears. She puffs her cheeks and stomps her foot as she glares up at the driver. I'm right here! Looking at her scroll, she quickly compares it to a number on the truck's side and groans. No, this isn't a delivery spot, this is a pickup. You're in the wrong place. If it's not an emergency shelter, it's not a drop-off. While she says this, a different man comes up to her to show her a scroll. When she sees it, Fiona's eyes almost bulge out of her head, and she swipes the man's scroll to stare at it. That's not right, we're supposed to be Mansell only! Rubbing a temple, she points to the first driver. You get to Zell Street. Then to the second driver, she walks back into the warehouse. You come with me, we have phone calls to make. Only to stop when she sees someone loading crates onto a truck. No, you stop! Green labels only! Growling in frustration, she shoves the second driver's scroll into his hands and stomps over to the boxes. Where's the Garv Boulevard crew? They get the red labels. The second driver, unsure what to do, meekly follows after. Yang, Blake, Neon, and Flint watch the flurry of motion curiously. Dozens of workers zipping in and out of the warehouse, all wearing eclectic outfits not normal for this line of work. Brows furrowing, Blake asks, "Are these people huntsmen?" Neon nods. "Probs? The Happy Huntresses are a local militia thingy?" Flint rolls his eyes. Not a big fan of how Atlas does things, so they group together to do their own thing. Yang shrugs. Weird. This content and the rest of the content on Celtic Phoenix is brought to you by the wonderful people supporting the channel. Now return you to your regularly scheduled fixing. The four approach cautiously, catching sight of Pietro and his bulky chair out front, rubbing his brow at the backup while trying to square it away on his scroll. They walk up to him, all curious. Flint is the one to ask, "What's going on, Dr. P?" Pietro's worried face lightens seeing the four, but not much. "Just doing a bit of outreach. With the shortages that are on their way, I figured people would benefit from having stocked food stores before it hits." Neon blinks at the long line of trucks. "All of this?" Which gets Pietro to laugh. "I don't want for much, and most of my lien is just building dust in my bank account. Decided this would be a better use for it." From just inside the bay doors he's sitting beside, we hear an enraged voice carry out. "You had no grounds to give that reroute order." Walking out, staring daggers at her scroll, is May Marigold. On the other end is a well-dressed man who responds coldly. "We need those supplies." May cuts him off. "Everyone needs these supplies. You can't just go over a councilwoman's head." He sneers back at her. "I can't when the councilwoman wants to waste her time on tanneries. They don't need anywhere near as much as you're delivering to the..." Again, May cuts him off. "Everyone in Mantle is under Robin's protection, human and Faunus. They get the same share, Alderman, and you will not go above her head again. Am I clear?" After a moment of silence, the man straightens his tie with a grimace. "These supplies will go to those who need them." To which May responds coldly, "They certainly will." Almost breaking her scroll as she ends the call, May pockets it and looks over to Pietro.
You can't let
seems to sour more, if that's...
You can't let shit like politics and shit get in the way of your job. It's unprofessional.
It's even possible when she sees the other four standing there. Frustration on her sleeve, she asks, "What are they doing here?" Flint shrugs. "Well, I'm here to help, only to be cut off." "I didn't ask you." "Pietro?" The man waves to them, tired but relaxed. "I thought they could be some help, since we're short-staffed." Another glance to them, and May shakes her head. "We don't need help from at Legion Hunters." To which Neon asks, "Wait, didn't you go to Atlas?" May just rolls her eyes like Neon said something incredibly stupid before continuing with Pietro. "Let's talk." Uneasy, Pietro looks to the four apologetically. "Sorry, kids. Be just a moment." Pietro and May walk deeper inside the warehouse to have an animated discussion, which eventually draws in the already stressed Fiona. The quartet watch on, trying to listen in over the noise of all the honking. "What's her problem?" Yang asks, and Flint shakes his head. "Told ya, the Happy Huntresses have always been uptight with Atlas." Neon slumps over his shoulders and rolls her eyes. "If you ask me, I think it's trouble in paradise." Flint rolls his eyes back and peels Neon off his shoulder. "Come on, you know the Marigold Hill thing is just tabloid rumors." Neon dismisses it with a wave of her hand. "Please, it's all the talk of the town. Towns, even. We all know Marigold is as romantic as a rock." Blake's ears rotate at
some drama of love or something.
The idle gossip, and she glances over to Yang to say something.
"If you're having trouble with supplies, though, just get the... And if some people that you really don't like offer to help, you take it."
Instead, she finds Yang uncharacteristically engrossed,
unless they're being shady or some shit,
by a message on her scroll. We get a good glimpse of it, and it seems to be a message from Neo, a single line confirming, "Had to bail, watch yourself, will be in touch." Yang stares at it with concern before Blake gets her attention. "Yang?" Yang looks up with alarm and awkwardly tries to hide the scroll. Yeah, everything's fine. Great, just, you know." Staring at Blake's face and seeing the doubt never once leaving her eyes, Yang slowly sags in defeat. Nervously, she peeks over Blake's shoulder, where Flint and Neon are still locked in a heated gossip session. Looking between them and Blake, she grabs Blake and pulls her in close before showing her the message. It takes a moment for Blake to process before she hisses. "Did you know?" Yang's shoulders rise.
"Know what?"
"Of course I didn't." "Well, I may have maybe said something. Blake's eyes harden even more. It was your idea? Yang has to shush Blake as their volumes begin to climb.
What?
I didn't know she would do this. She was miserable. They were both miserable. Blake blinks in disbelief.
Huh?
Yang, they're criminals.
Oh,
Yang's frustration grows in mirror to Blake's.
she helped them.
They saved our lives like ones of times. Besides, it's not like we're much better. We were all ready to break into Argus to get here. Blake pushes back. We needed to get here. All they needed to do was stay put until Ozpin returned. Flint's voice calls from overtop their huddle.
Okay,
What are you whispering about?
I
They
understand.
both turn around, Yang smiling with faux innocence while Blake is still clearly frustrated. Nothing, Yang says, looking for an escape topic. We were just talking about how you two would be a great match yourselves. You know, the gossipers never think to gossip about themselves. Her words end on an awkward, hopeful chuckle.
I ship it. I ship it. I ship that. I ship it with express delivery.
Neon rolls her eyes. Please, he's way too high maintenance for my tastes. Which earns a raised brow from Flint. High maintenance? Please, you just know you couldn't afford me. The two devolve into a small bicker match, and Yang sags with relief. But Blake still looks conflicted, glaring sideways at Yang, when Yang gently takes Blake's hand in her own, whispering,
Oop. You okay?
trust her. So trust me, okay? After a moment of hesitation, Blake exhales the tension and elaborates. It's not her I don't trust. Thinking it through, Blake amends. Actually, I don't trust either of them. This earns a chuckle from Yang, and they both look up to enjoy the playful argument spiraling out of Neon and Flint. All this comes to a stop as May returns, with Fiona and Pietro in tow. Leave.
Oh
She
boy.
says bluntly, which prompts Pietro to maneuver his way off to the side as a physical mediator. Now, Miss Marigold, there's no need to be rude. I did ask them to come here. May closes her eyes crossly, but doesn't bite back. Please, leave. May says diplomatically, we don't need any of Atlas's help to make this happen, and we especially don't need any
I mean, they are with Alice, but they're from Vale, though.
bad publicity from hot-headed foreigners. At this, Fiona shines a little
Okay.
bit behind May, eyeing Yang judgmentally. This doesn't go unnoticed, and Yang is taken aback by the insinuation. Pietro finally chimes in with his own opinion.
Wait.
I think it would be best if you all go home. Don't worry about the pay. I made a promise and I intend to keep it, even if I don't have any work for you to do. Flint and Neon perk at that, and seem somewhat pleased, while Blake and Yang are clearly less so. Flint asks, I mean, we're not gonna turn that down, but you don't have to. Pietro shakes his head. Least I could do for bringing the four of you all the way down here. Neon and Flint share a look, then look to May and Fiona before shrugging. Well, guess we'll head back. Call if you need us. May, still staring at them coldly, replies, we won't. Awkwardly, Flint and Neon walk off down the road. Blake, very uncomfortable, turns and says, so Yang, only to realize Yang is no longer beside her. Instead, Yang is walking right past May and Fiona, who are baffled as she brazenly approaches a pile of crates. Fiona screams after her, hey, didn't you hear? Yang interrupts her by hefting one of the crates over her shoulder almost effortlessly, and asking, Red Label Cigar Street, right? Which truck is that? May and Fiona stare at Yang, not sure how to process it, and Yang nudges that forward by explaining, I came here to help, so I'm going to help. Blake smiles wryly at Yang and walks past May and Fiona as well, lifting a box, though with much more effort than Yang. After a moment, May sighs. Fiona hops in place, confused but scrambling to look at her scroll. Truck 33. Wordlessly, Yang directs her and Blake back towards the parked cargo trucks, and the two walk off to deliver their crates. May and Fiona watch them, scrutinizing them, only to turn and find a smug, smiling Pietro. Shaking her head, May tries to ignore it. Maybe having them help will be good, Fiona expresses nervously. As scary as that Xiaolong girl is, we're struggling. All the girls are pretty tired. May's foul mood returns. Fine then. You deal with them. Looking down the Fiona, she nods up towards the trucks. I have a call to make. Tiredly, Fiona nods and rushes off to instruct traffic once more. Walking back towards a lonely corner, May dials up Robin on her scroll. Robin appears, seemingly at a different distribution site teeming with workers. She seems equally as tired as May and Fiona, especially when she asks,
That's a weird
"Please tell
thingy.
me it's going more smoothly with your team." May scowls. Not when there's an
What's that thing around her eye?
An alderman breathing down my neck and sniping our shipments for his own districts. Cursing under her breath, Robin is apoplectic. That makes 3. We're already stretched thin. We can't afford to be losing shipments anywhere. May asks back, is there any way to stop them? And Robin responds, I've got connections pushing back where they can, but everything will be said and done by the time anything happens. May scoffs at the situation, so we just have to bite down and deal with it. Great. There's a second of silence before Robin speaks up. Well, we have other options. May's eyes widen, horrified. Robin, no, not them. Robin shakes her head, her exhaustion coming through clearly. I know, but we're in a corner here. People are already starting to panic. If we don't do something before the food runs out, we could see riots. Or worse. Closing her eyes, May seems almost
them?
At the prospect. They're dangerous, Robin. If word gets out... After a moment of quiet, Robin replies, softly.
Those,
I promise, May.
that one
Considering
gang?
the option, May allows her shoulders to relax.
From Madam Web?
If you think that's
No.
best,
Who?
you know I have your back. Before she hangs up, Robin replies, That's how I know it'll be alright. Call ended, May stares at the blank screen with sunken eyes. She pockets it and walks away towards the camera, obscuring it.
Chess.
We cut to Robin walking away from the camera in one of Mantle's grungier perks. She approaches a bench and sits down. Soon enough, someone else joins her on the other side of the bench, though they're obscured at first by the camera angle. Robin starts, the two never looking directly at each other. Thank you for meeting me on short notice. A clawed hand comes into frame as a familiar voice comes from the other figure. Oh, not at all. Supporting you is our only goal. In fact, I'm surprised you haven't made more use of us. Our colleagues have been getting restless. Robin's eyes harden in frustration. Too dangerous, too volatile. The donations have been enough. I still think Sienna was crazy to send anyone up here. The camera pulls back to reveal Cinder as she shrugs, leaning back into the bench with a confident grin. Her arm...
Really? Ooh, you fucked up.
Are guised in long gloves, each bearing animalistic claws that appear to come out of her fingertips. Looking out for a friend isn't crazy, especially with the Mistral CCT down. My employer does, however, applaud and appreciate your reservation in her letters, even if I don't think it's quite so necessary as you think. Robin frowns at Cinder. That reservation is what got me elected. Cinder is unfazed. And yet, now you need our help in a more direct way, I take it? Robin turns away and threads her fingers together tightly. The greenhouse disaster is being downplayed, but the resource shortage is going to be more extreme than the people realize. I'm the least likely person on the council to break the deadlock, so I need to find a way to help people through other means. Cinder's claws click together. Our means. Robin's face remains stoic. There's one last major SDC shipment coming home in a few days from now, and more it's looking like they'll be split between a couple of corporations and the military. If we could get our hands on even a fraction of those supplies.
Okay, so at this moment, Salem isn't with Watson Tennant. So I keep calling him Tennant because before the K. Okay. But anyways, so they need Senator to hijack a ship with the twins?
Cinder hums in consideration.
Go.
The Schnees often have pretty tight security. Robin nods subtly. Normally, the military secures those transports. It's one of the reasons they have such a strong claim to the supplies. Cinder's head cocks to the side slowly. I'm sensing a but. Fingers tightening around each other, Robin's jaw hardens. The ship doesn't have an escort. The returning Argus air fleet was supposed to do it, but for some reason they're not. I tried to figure out why, but my... Because of bullshit, because of last season. Sources couldn't say, and it's impossible to trust anything on the network with 2 of the 4 towers down. Rumor and speculation are making things impossible to get a read on globally. Inspecting one of her nails, Cinder agrees smugly. That they are. You needn't worry, though. If everything is as you said, you can rest assured our colleagues will make all of your dreams come true. Despite retaining some tension, Robin sinks. Okay, so is she secretly with Watts again and we just don't know about it? With relief. I'll send you more info over the encrypted line. Cinder nods. Much appreciated. She rakes one of her claws through the air performatively. If I scratch your back... The tension begins to rebuild in Robin's shoulders, but she answers with resolve. Ironwood's inner circle has grown. I don't have much on them, but they're eclectic. A veteran huntsman, some greenhorns, and some criminals. Almost all of them are from out of kingdom, which baffles me considering the embargo. As Robin speaks, Cinder's smug grin melts away, eyes sharpening and lips becoming a terse line. Little Bird seems to know quite a lot about this group. No names, though? Robin shakes her head. I don't know what to tell you. Little Bird only tells me so much. Cinder tries to re-establish her confident charm and only partially succeeds. I'm sure if I were to talk with this bird of yours, I could get us both all the information we need. At this, Robin raises a brow. I'm already pushing my luck. I don't think you get any warmer reception. Robin's eyes narrow and she adds, especially since you've been ducking my request to speak with Sienna directly. Mediators are fine, but now that I'm elected, we need to talk about the next stage of our cooperation. Cinder's reply is warm and practiced, taking faux offense. My, are you that appalled at working with our humble little club already? She uses a knuckle to wipe away a fake tear, much to Robin's irritation. And here I thought we developed such a good rapport. Sobering up from the sarcasm, Cinder becomes more relaxed and confident. No worries. My employer is quite eager to meet you as well. It is unfortunate that matters in Mistral have kept her occupied, but we have been looking into ways for the two of you to meet face to face to negotiate. Navigating the embargo is our biggest concern. It wouldn't do to have such a fine political figure arrested at the door. Robin's unamused face doesn't shift. Standing, Robin brushes out the wrinkles in her outfit and levels a harsh glare at Cinder. Tricky as that may be, I can always pull some strings. Give me a time and a place and that door will be open for her. With an earnest smile, Cinder replies, Certainly. My employer has big plans for Atlas. I'm sure she's eager to get your help with that. Wordlessly?
Yeah, we all know about that, huh?
Robin looks to Cinder one last time.
So, I'm guessing Robin became a politician through the help of Salem's group. Maybe some election fraud?
Easily before turning and walking.
Like, maybe she has good intentions, but she worked with the devil and she didn't even know it.
The path to leave the park. Cinder watches her go, still smiling as she gets up herself and walks the opposite direction. The smile slips off her face, first into a scowl, then into a bitter smirk. Big plans indeed. Cut to black, end of episode.
Okay.